Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle once and for all. 1, 2, a best Billy Joel song.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcasts should have a theme song. Podcasts should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
Best Billy Joel song.
There you go.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
I like your Long Island accent when you say that, Hal.
Now I hope that's not the take that Ken used. So it makes no sense. I'm tired of this podcast making sense.
Everyone from Long Island talks like this. I love having bagels. I love Italian food. Let's get disco fries at the diner. Whoa, for the longest time.
The Mets are definitely going to win the pennant this year.
Oh, dear.
Step right up and meet the Mets.
Ted Leo, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, it's so nice to have you. Thanks for squeezing us in. You're about to go on tour.
Right.
Yeah, I am. It's true. Gosh, yeah. Literally in a few hours. One sleep, as they say.
Oh my goodness. Well,
That's right.
We appreciate you spending your pre-sleep with us. This is something you wanted to tackle this. Best Billy Joel song.
I guess I did. I don't
What?
Yeah.
Wait, no, now, so what's going on? Why did you want to, and then why don't you want to? What's going on?
I don't really remember, to be honest with you. I think that I think that I was having a conversation. Maybe I was having a conversation with Ken at some point, and it came up that I'm something of like a late in life convert to Billy Joel sort of semi fandom. And just I'll just lay this out at the top of the episode. Like, I never particularly disliked Billy Joel.
Right.
I think especially when I was a kid, when the like 52nd Street, The Stranger, Glass Houses, was coming out. Like, it was on the radio. I wouldn't change the channel, if it was on,
Yeah.
But I never got like really into Billy Joel. And in fact, I think that most of the people that I knew who were really into Billy Joel, I was a little suspect about. They were about their taste in general. And then there was definitely like a Jersey, Long Island thing, like I'm Jersey. And so like Springsteen was my guy, and, I'm on the west side of Manhattan. So like we were Yankees fans, and that was the divide. And Billy Joel was always the Long Island guy.
Who was his baseball team then?
I'm assuming the Mets.
Okay.
I think he's
Probably
a Yankees guy. Right?
Yeah.
Mets and Jets is Long
I don't
Island.
know.
But this is perfect because it all blew up for me eventually because nobody really so much of that stuff is ginned up to begin with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are obviously a lot more similar things among Jerseyans and Long Islanders than like either wants to admit.
This feels like, because, I knew you guys both grew up in the Northeast. This feels like a very Northeast-centric episode. Like, Billy Joel to me represents, he even put out an album that he left Hollywood famously and made an album that was like, say goodbye to Hollywood. I'm in a New York state of mind. Yeah. He represents Madison Square Garden. He is New York City through and through.
Right. But let's not pretend he's just a tri-state area performer. Like,
I'm not.
This is a global superstar who yelled at a bunch of techs in Russia once.
Yeah. Don't turn the lights up on the crowd, man.
Turn them off. Stop it. In the middle of the night. Turn them off. So good. I love that.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that he wanted them to turn the lights off because it was Soviet Russia to protect the identities of the people at the concerts? Or do you think it was just because you want to go to a rock show in the dark? Like, Ted, how would you react if the lights were all up in the house on this tour? If you look out in the crowd, you can see everyone.
And all the lights are on. Well, since I'm not the lead person in this band, it's not really my place to say. But I might call someone over and slyly say "Can you turn the lights down, please?" But I wouldn't throw something at the lighting director. I'd be like, turn the light down. You're
not gonna flip a piano.
Yeah, I want it dark in here. Yeah, exactly.
Who were you listening to at the time that the people that you thought were listening to Piano Man had bad taste?
Right.
I guess it would have been Piano Man. It would have been a little later.
Yeah, well, I think it was probably like, here's the thing, like when that late 70s, early 80s stretch of records came out, were like, you know, a lot of the huge hits from that era. Like I was listening to them, you know, I bought Glass Houses like when it came out. I was again like not a fan. It was a little bit later when like you start honing your kind of like late teen sensibilities, and you know, I was at that point like much more deeply into like punk and, you know, like college radio, and I was never one of those people who totally like rejected classic rock or anything like that. Though I understand why people did, but at the same time, like it seemed to me that the people who were like planting their flag on Billy Joel Hill in you know, whatever part of Long Island that exists in Syosset or whatever. You know, they would also be people who it seemed to me were just often not as discriminating about even the like radio delivered like classic rock that would come their way. You know, it was kind of like background music type of thing, you know, in some ways, not something that people were genuinely like seeking out to listen to and get into. You know? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. 100%. It's easy to listen to Billy Joel music.
I'm kind of curious, what was the turning point? Because you said you've much more recently come to appreciate him. What is it? What is it that you like, and how did it come about?
So I think it was, I mean, it can't have been more than like 10 years ago or so. I think I was having a discussion about Billy Joel with our mutual friend, Amy Mann, to name drop. And she was pointing me to some songs of his that I actually had never listened to. And it struck me how show-tuney they are. And when I started to think of everything he writes as a show tune, all these puzzle pieces started coming together, you know, and then like even the jukebox, you know, musical, the Twyla Tharp Moving Out thing that had happened. Like I had a real stick in my craw about jukebox musicals back then. I was just like, we used to be a country where we would actually write, you know, write things, you know, now we're just like,
where is Tin Pan Alley?
Yeah. You know, but I really started to appreciate his actual craft in a different way. And that's not to say that it all became, you know, golden in my mind. Like I actually really dislike Piano Man. I think Piano Man is a pretty crummy song in a lot of different ways.
Right.
But I just think, like, I see that as a step on the path for him in his like storytelling ways and his attempt at storytelling ways and like fleshing out characters and things with a lot of really hooky melodies that in his real belter kind of, you know, vocals, like he's got a real stage belter kind of voice. You know, it's not a gravelly Springsteen voice. It's not a much of a shouty voice, and it's not a quiet, you know, croony voice. It's a stage belty kind of voice.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about all these things, and then going back and listening to more of his stuff, like a lot of it really grabbed me in a different way, to the extent that can I tell you that one of the biggest blunders I've ever made in my life was trying to do the Downeaster Alexa at karaoke once.
Oh, wow.
What is that?
That's from his Stormfront album. It's the song about the collapse of the fishing industry in Island and New England, and how he's going out and the fish are going away and he's going to go down with his hand. Tell my wife I'm in Atlantis with my hands still on the ship's wheel and everything. And like, it wasn't even ironic fun for people in the room. It was just like, within 30 seconds, it just a huge pall just like descended, and then there's another 4 minutes of the song, and I'm just like, it was terrible. It was a terrible choice.
It's a dirge, basically.
Well, you didn't want to do Billy Joel's foray into activism, which turned out to be sort of a libertarian, I don't like regulation song.
Oh, is that what started the fire?
Yeah, I mean, I guess these regulations are killing the fishing industry in song form, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't. Oh yeah, he says something about I can't I can't reel in the stripies anymore. I'm assuming that's some kind of little fish that's like too small, or I don't know what. Yeah.
And he actually went on an activism tour with this song. Like, well, the reason I wrote this song, to be fair, that was his neighborhood. Like, that's where he grew up, and it was really affecting that area. So all politics is local, I guess. If you're going to become an activist, do it for something that is hyper local like that. Well, okay, let me ask you one more question before we really jump in to the songs. You are going out on a punk tour. Like, I mean, you guys rock pretty hard. You're going out with Gang of Four. If you, as a musician in that genre, if you could punk cover any of Billy Joel's songs, which song would it be?
Well, that's a really good question because, of course, another like semi-failure of his was, hinting at like new wave and punk on Glass Houses. Like I feel like if he hadn't have like visually leaned into that so hard with Skinny Ties and everything, and some of the lyrics on Still Rock and Roll to me, it would have been a lot more passable as just a slightly harder rocking Billy Joel album.
Yeah.
But, so your first instinct is like, you're doing it all for Lena or sleeping with the television on or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I guess objectively you would probably have to go with Big Shot, right?
Oh, yeah.
Boy,
that's a really good one.
I mean, if only to give your drummer a good arm workout.
Yeah.
Just slamming those big shots right at the end there. Yeah.
It's got some actual guitar riffage, which is rare in a Billy Joel song.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. I was going to say, if you had a ska band, I feel like Only the Good Die Young is kind of ripe for ska.
Well,
I'd rather not with the sinners and die with the saints. Just take any swing out of it and just play completely straight, and it's ska.
You could keep the swing in it and dial up the chunk on your guitars and make it a Thin Lizzy song, honestly.
That's right.
A good shuffle beat kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah, as the heroes of whatever 80s rom-com this is drive into view.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm there for it. All right, how do you guys want to approach this? Do you want to just go round robin style? And
yeah, we've each got 5. I do want to throw in just personally, as someone who grew up as a young Jewish teen and young adult in the 80s and into the 90s, that being a Billy Joel fan was like required reading. Stormfront was the first concert I ever went to.
Oh, wow.
It was the Stormfront tour. He's the only person I've seen in concert twice because I went to River of Dreams as well. So I grew up listening to his stuff all the time, which made going... Now when I look back on it, I agree. I don't think Piano Man is a very good song. We Didn't Start the Fire is clever, but there's not a ton to it. It's just him listing a bunch of stuff that happened from when he was born to the present day, which is, again,
taking
fun
credit
party trick.
It?
Yeah.
And he did all of it. Well, no, he said he didn't.
Because he didn't. He didn't.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not his fault.
He
He's trying to fight it.
Right.
Please, Mark. So I'm excited. I'm excited to tackle this.
All right.
I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think round robin is probably the way to go. We'll go one at a time, and then we'll each pick. We'll do what we did. We recently did best movie robot, and everybody brought 5 to the table. We spoke them out loud, and then we each picked one to take into the finals. And I think that's a cleaner way to go about it. So Ted, do you want to hit us with your first of your 5 and tell us why?
Yeah, sure. So, well, we've already talked about a few of them, but I'm gonna, maybe I should put only. Let's start with Only the Good Die Young.
Sure.
Okay.
I think that is a song that, if you knew my dad, this would probably be funnier to you. But he would often shout out like in the like some people would call it like an ejaculation, a verbal, like. He would go when certain songs would come on the radio, he would go, "Tough tune! Oh, tough tune! Tough tune!"
Tough tune!
Oh, I love that. Does that means he liked the song, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is what
Only the Good Die Young was for sure a tough tune. Then having also I grew up Catholic and went to Catholic school, literally my entire life except for kindergarten, like 17 and a half years of Catholic school.
Nice.
But,
I stopped after 8.
You're lucky you. But that was, that's of course at every, I went to like all boys high school. There were all girls high schools. They would all we still had that like high school dance culture. And of course that would get played at every single, dance.
Oh yeah.
And it weirdly, like, as it in some ways, I think it actually really did like mean a lot to kids. It never really like lost. It never became cheesy. It never became something that didn't, get you a little bit in there.
Yeah,
for sure.
It feels like a very youthful version of Subversion.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, yes, and as with a lot of his stuff, I think like the character that he's placing himself into is that kind of like Lords of Flatbush, like 50s, 60s, like rock and roller kind of guy,
oh yeah.
The ain't too pretty, we ain't too proud, maybe we laugh a little too loud. Laugh never hurt no one,
Oh, that's what gangs were known for back then. There was the laughing epidemic in the late 50s.
Yeah. Oh, they had laugh-offs.
Yeah.
down in the subway platforms.
Sure. Everybody would square off with one another, and then you would break a smile against a chain link fence, and you were ready to fight.
Oh my god! If it was 1957 and you were walking down to the subway and you just heard in the distance, you would run. You wouldn't take a single. You'd say, "I'm splurging on a cab tonight."
Every gang had to have they had to have the range from like a to a kind of guy, Like, like after Doo-Wop died, what else could they do? They stand around a garbage can and laugh.
Until the mariachi bands showed up and they chased all the doo-wop bands out from the get-go with their laugh at the top of the song.
Isn't this the Warriors? Aren't you explaining the plot of Warriors right now? The laughers, you have mariachi, the doo-wop groups.
Yeah,
right.
They were the Yankees fans from one side of the tracks with the bat.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Shuffle Beat has. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, Shuffle Beat. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's that the way that his grooves are so fun in that, and it's a great like you said, it played at middle school and high school dances. It did for us too. It was very it's easy to dance to. And one of those lines that when you're a kid, I'd rather laugh with the sinners than cry with the saints. The sinners are much more fun. Lyrically, that song is so much fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Also was not going to be a big hit until the Catholic Church made a big stink about it.
Right, exactly.
And then that song blew up because they were like, this song is trash. And then everybody wanted to buy it. So good job. An absolute classic, a banger. Only the good die young. Hal, what's your first one?
Man, I'm going to go. I really love the album The Bridge from 1986, 87. I feel like it more than any of his other albums, which all sort of exist out of time, especially in Innocent Man, where he's clearly trying to do something 50s, early 60s. The Bridge is so of the time it was made. It is one of the most 80s albums you can find. And there are a lot of songs that I like listening to it front to back to front. I'm happy. I want to go with Code of Silence, which is his duet with Cyndi Lauper. And it gets extra points because she's in it.
Yeah, I don't think I know it either, actually.
It's really very good. It has a harmonica in it. And because you have Cyndi Lauper singing on it, it's really good. She does it like, wah, wah, wah. She does like all of her, she pulls out all the Cyndi Lauper tricks in it. It is a very good song. I just wanted Bridge representation. I won't stand for Bridge erasure.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
And there aren't really many huge hits from it, but it has two really good duets. That's one. The other is Baby Grand with Ray Charles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I got to listen to that. Yeah. All right. This is good. That's good. I'm glad,
Yeah. That's a beautiful one. I'm ready to look. Cyndi Lauper, she's helping him out with this. He's getting it's kind of not fair if, he's getting he's playing doubles tennis on this one.
I feel like is she known to have joined him for some of his MSG shows? I feel like I maybe heard that they're like actually.
No,
I feel like well,
maybe. Did you guys ever catch one of those?
I did not. No.
I never got to see it. 10 years at Madison Square Garden. It ended last year. Monthly. Yeah. That's wild. 12 shows a year in that theater.
Pretty amazing. Yeah.
Like Bob Dylan is on his endless tour. Billy Joel's just on an endless residency, or was.
Yeah.
Just really beautiful. I love that.
With breaks.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. I don't want to burn one of mine using Piano Man, so I'm not, because both of you guys said you don't like it. I think it's seminal. I think it's good storytelling, but I'm not going to burn that one. I'm going to go a few years later to 1976, Turnstiles. Mm-hmm. This is Billy Joel leaves Los Angeles, as we talked about before, goes to New York City, writes an album. It's the one that he produces. It's him getting his buddies together to be the band. And I think it's the first real taste of a new version of Billy Joel that we were going to get later. And I think that the song New York State of Mind off of Turnstiles.
Sure.
It is such... I was born in 1979. This song came out in 1976. I don't know if that song set the soundtrack for New York or if that song just captured the soundtrack of New York. Because when I see a picture of Manhattan at night... even without the lyrics, the music of that song is what's playing. It's so evocative, beautifully. The music is perfect. And I just really love the melody. I love the long high notes just jumping right in on that second sung line. Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I think that all of the instrumentation plays really well together. I think it's a love letter to a city, and I think it set the sound of that city. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I also think that it's a hard thing to pull off. You know, I think that a lot of people write songs for Los Angeles and New York in particular. I mean, there are others, obviously, but there's a lot of songs where people are trying to do that, trying to capture New York, you know, trying to write the perfect love letter to it. And so many of them feel very try hard. And this one just lands, you know, it lands effortlessly, I think.
Yeah. I think that's a great word for it, is effortless, because like, I think it's such a great marriage of the lyric and the melody. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like that's the cadence he would say this in as a monologue.
I know he talks about taking a Greyhound on the Hudson River line, but it feels like this song feels like you're in a car driving into Manhattan at 2 a.m.
Oh yeah.
And you get that feeling when you're going back into the city. It captures it really well. So that's a good choice. I had it as an alternate, figuring somebody would have it as a main one. Ted, what's your next choice?
Well, let's go on with another city one then. I would have to say this may actually be my favorite Billy Joel song of all, and that would be Vienna.
Oh. Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, this is, of course, not actually about Vienna in the way that New York State of Mind is about New York State of Mind, but I think it's a great song. I think, like, rhythmically, it's really cool. I love his vocal line on it. I love his delivery. I love the spareness of the track, the music track. Mm-hmm. And I really, really like the lyric on this one. Like, it's, you know, just a really well worded song about, you know, possibly hitting the point where you're worrying about getting old and not pushing too much. He has a number of songs. I mean, maybe like Moving Out is in some ways like about not chasing the like BS, you know, middling kind of American dreams of life, you know, and always chasing something. You know, it's interesting for someone who did, you know, have like an earlier career, like bounced out to LA, like, as you said, like kind of explicitly like gave it up to go back to New York. Yeah, I think that idea of like always chasing something is in a lot of his songs. And this is a really like cautionary, like a lovingly cautionary way to tell somebody to not do that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this then. If that song is asking you to, I mean, yes, slow down. That's what he says. It's like, you know, slow down. You're moving too fast. This is, I guess my question then is, if the lyric is, it's life advice on slowing down and living your best life, the lyric Vienna waits for you. Mm-hmm. What does Vienna mean?
It's a sausage. Well, it comes in a small pan.
How?
It's really about Chicago. It's about getting Vienna beef in Chicago.
Exactly.
We'll always be there for you.
Vienna waits for you. So does a full-size pickle spear, 2 tomato slices, and neon relish.
Right. No, I know that there is a specific story about it, but I always sort of just took it as like, you know, maybe like that's the trip you've been saving up for, you want to take, but it's like, you know, Vienna's going to be there.
I love that.
Vienna's going to be there. Like you don't have to go crazy trying to like tick these, you know, items off your list in your life. Like Vienna it's going to be there. It's not going anywhere,
Yeah. I love that.
Yep.
Beautiful. Vienna,
my turn?
And it's a classic. Was it released? It was released as a single, wasn't it? Or is it strictly an album cut?
My understanding, and I will admit to have only learned this tonight as I was looking up the lyrics, but is that it is a B-side to something else on that album.
Oh, okay.
Whatever another single from that album, but I can't remember which one. Yeah.
Oh. And it at least in your mind has outlived the A side, which you maybe never knew what it was.
Because I don't even. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, I love a love song. He has a lot of odes to women, including a great one on the bridge. She's such a temptation, which you would think is about Christy Brinkley, but is about his newborn daughter, who he doesn't want to leave.
Huh?
That's a very sweet
Beautiful.
one.
Beautiful.
Yeah. No, they weren't dating. I'm pretty sure that would be real weird. It makes River of Dreams a whole different thing. She's Always a Woman I love as a really sweet. Yeah. The thing about Billy Joel is he doesn't fit very neatly into any category, but a lot of his earlier stuff feels like he worked it out when he was a lounge piano player. And this has a very lounge kind of feel to it. It almost feels like he wants to swing, like you could sort of like swing. Oh, should have tell of herself. Like you could do it like that. But, I just think it's such a beautiful song and it's very controlled. He shows a lot of restraint in it and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
That was going to be the next song that I mentioned. That was going to be my next choice was She's Always a Woman. And Ted, maybe you can speak to this more about the musicality of that song and the restraint Hal's talking about. The restraint to me sounds like, it feels like, because it's in that 6/8 cut time, which normally, or at least in songs that come to mind for me right away, is very, there's a swing to it. Bum, 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 bum. There's that sort of swing that happens in there. And it also feels like, it makes it feel like a shanty. It makes it feel like it could come from any time in Europe in a tavern. But that restraint, it feels to me, is that it's so tightly unswung. You know what I mean? Like it's like almost like it's being played on a harpsichord in the 1500s. You know what I mean? It's so plainly, it could be a court dance. It's talk musically. You're the one that knows music out of us.
Theoretically,
give me your thoughts on that song. I have no idea what the question is.
So
I just want you as a musician to tell us smart things.
So I love the melody. I love the vocal melody in this song, and I think actually, like, kind of my favorite part of it is when he's actually just doing the humming stuff. You know, I wonder if this. I feel like in some ways this may have started out as a folkier song, a little bit of a stab at even maybe doing like a Dylan kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Joel is naturally going to put like a lot more melody into the vocal line than, Bob Dylan is, bless his little vocal cords. But, and as those instincts, and this is a real specific thing, but I think that, there's not a lot of trad folk piano, as those instincts get translated to piano, it's going to come out in a different way. And I think that's what makes it like distinctly Billy Joel. It's like, it's a little bit of form following function in some ways, I think. I'm sure he knew what he was doing in that regard, but I wouldn't be surprised if he had the melody in his head almost fully formed before he started working it out on the piano, and then working it out on the piano brought it more into that kind of chambery kind of vibe. Yeah,
that's really cool. I guess you can't, it's easier to find that swing if you're strumming on a downbeat than if you're playing arpeggios. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah. All right. So then I will give my next one, which is also from that same album, 1977's The Stranger, maybe his best album. And that's Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. I love Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. You want to talk about musical theater? I mean, song.
Yeah.
That song is a show. That song is 3 or 4 show tunes.
Right.
Yep.
It feels like an overture because it begins Bottle of Red. Then you've got this whole, no, I'm fine. And then you've got the whole ballad, which is sped up. And then it goes back to that thunderous Bottle of Red, Bottle of White at the end. I love my music with some bombast, and that is as bombastic as a song can get, I think.
And can't you picture the staging of that? You know, they're like tables, like, you know, like somebody's moving among the tables, you know, by the way, and then like the floor spins, and then the next part comes in, and there's dancers, and you know, Twyla Tharp and everything.
Exactly, and then they spin out, and there's a table there, and he has that solo section of the song. I got remarried. You've lost weight, not that I've noticed, or whatever else he's singing through there. Right, and then you've got two dancers who are playing. What are the two characters' names?
Anthony.
Once they named them, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. The part of it when it goes from like, here is our idyllic story to here's kind of how it gets a little sad and stale. And then here's where we are at the end. Yeah, I just think it arcs beautifully. It's a whole show. In fact, it is such a good arc of story that in 2019, we all know what happened in 2020 to derail this, but in 2019, there was going to be scenes from an Italian restaurant TV show, and each episode was going to be named after a different Billy Joel song. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
but unfortunately, we never got it.
That was they were ready to go in front of cameras with that, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. What? Oh, you don't like that song, Hal? Come on.
I love that song. I'm just trying to figure out who I need to know. You know what? This is what I'll say. I need more information about that show. I don't need it now. Right. I need to go do some independent reading about it and really educate myself.
Let me ask you this. Which episode would be your favorite if every episode was named after a Billy Joel song?
Running on
I'm going Good Night Saigon. That's going to be a weird late season episode. That's going to be one of those episodes where they're really trying to get that Emmy. Bringing a really good guest star who's just sitting at the end of the bar. The whole thing's a flashback.
Yeah, 100%. Well, while I look through every single episode of that show and try to find all the scripts, we're going to take a brief break. We will come back. We will rattle out the rest of our nominees, and then 3 songs will enter and 1 song will leave, and it will be the best Billy Joel song. We'll be right back. In Media Res is a scripted fiction podcast from the Good Story Guild. This whip-smart and darkly comic limited series follows an unknown actor given a huge franchise role and the Hollywood machine that upends his life. Oh boy, yeah, Hal and I have lived in LA for over 20 years each, and yeah, the Hollywood machine is real and well-deserving of satire. It's got an all-female creative team, includes 6 original songs in the style of iconic Bond themes. They all sound like they could be James Bond songs. Like, we just did an episode that was what's the best James Bond song, and yeah, any of these could have been contenders. And a great cast featuring Kyle Prue, John Ailes, and our buddy James Urbaniak. Speaking of Hollywood stories, when I was doing extra work on the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, I used a urinal, and on either side of me were 2 giant gorillas from Planet of the Apes. So the entire series of In Media Res is out now, and you can listen, rate, and review it wherever you get your podcasts. Give it a listen. You're gonna love it.
Hey, we're the Eurovangelists, and it's the most wonderful time of the year because the Eurovision Song Contest is next week.
37 countries will face off in Basel, Switzerland to determine who has the best song in Europe.
On our show, we've argued about all the songs, and we are heading to Europe to bring you our reactions straight from Switzerland.
And on our next episode, we're going to predict who's going to survive the semifinals, compete in the grand final, and ultimately win Eurovision 2025.
Albania, baby!
It's Malta.
Latvia.
But we won't be alone. Glenn Weldon of NPR's Pop Culture Happy Hour will be with us, sharing his own predictions and telling us why we're wrong.
So make sure you're ready for Eurovision by listening to Eurovangelists on Maximum Fun, available everywhere you get podcasts.
You never know what you'll learn more about on the celebrity trivia show Go Fact Yourself.
For over 150 episodes, we've welcomed guests like DJ Jazzy Jeff, Audie Cornish, and Andy Richter to tell us why they love what they love, and then get quizzed on it.
And past quizzes have included some pretty unexpected topics like
reverse painting,
the perfect flip turn while swimming,
Prince's house party playlist from that one episode of New Girl,
and so much more.
Plus, our guests meet surprise experts in their topics.
Like the time we met an actual celebrity cow.
So, listen to Go Fact Yourself twice a month, every month on Maximum Fun.
Do it for the cow!
Here's what I'm going to say. Just the Way You Are did not make my list. It's beautiful. Just the Way You Are is a great song. No piano. The best Billy Joel song has to have some piano in it. It's organ and drums and that sweet saxophone. Yeah.
All right.
I have a little keyboard, like a little Yamaha little keyboard, like almost like and it's like an 80s, like, you know, one you would get as a kid, like a Casio style thing, you know.
Love them.
But it's got some cool little weird sounds on it, so I keep it around. But the you know how those all had like demo mode on, or you press demo and then it just like plays a song and shows you what it can do. It's just the way you are on that one, and it goes through. It goes through every sound and every drum beat and every tempo. It's like you'll get like like bad horns going like whop, 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 whop. Then it'll change to like etc. Yeah. It's pretty great.
You haven't heard it till you've heard it on a glockenspiel.
Yeah.
We're back, by the way. We're back from our break. We just started talking again. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Ted, you're up.
Yeah. All right. So we were talking about jokingly about Goodnight Saigon earlier, but from that album, I got to put Allentown like way up at the top somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Man.
It's a really good song. And for all of the, just to also come clean on this, like I am actually a pretty big Springsteen fan, and
sure.
I love, what he was doing along these same lines vis-a-vis Nebraska and Born in the USA and everything. But I think that Allentown, dare I call it a triumph of the genre of, kind of dashed American dream, like, kind of working class ballad. And I think the melody's great. I love the little hey, whoa. And this is the thing about Joel, like, until I started listening to him a little more critically, like for me, that was just like, I guess it always affected me a little bit, but I hadn't thought as much about how in lesser hands, a part like that could be more of like a pop music conceit and less of an actual kind of heartfelt, heart-tugging kind of moment in the song. And I think, it's another one of those things where if you wade into these waters of trying to pull off a song telling this kind of story, to keep going with the Downeaster Alexa like metaphors, there are a lot of shoals and rocks that you get dashed against or caught up on. He navigates it really well, and then you've got the two bridges, which are total show tune stuff. Every child had a pretty good shot to get at least as far as their old man got. It ticks a lot of boxes for me.
Yeah, it's so good.
He does so many songs where it's from a narrow perspective or from like small little slices of life to tell you something. This song, the lyrics are not small lyrics. This is big. This is, here's what happened to a whole town. They threw the flag in our face. Your kid didn't have the shot that his old man had. Like it doesn't pull any punches lyrically.
Mark, I'm glad you brought that up, because that just jogged something in my own brain, which is that like, that is a lot of what I do with my own songwriting. Like when I just spent this whole last year touring on like the 20th anniversary of an album of mine that was like written during the Iraq War, and it's very much about that era, but it's, the songs are about living through it. They're not about, the mile high view that like most people can agree on, that like war is bad, like, or the kind of like, political screed side of things, which I certainly appreciate, but it's not really what I do. Like what I do is write about like living through things, and in those small stories, I try to tease out things that I assume, if I'm feeling and thinking a certain way, that there's a certain universality to it, or at least something that does land more broadly than just me telling a story about myself or one particular person. And, as we're doing this conversation right now, like if you'd have asked me earlier today, like what my antecedents or, influences in writing that way were, like, I would not have said Billy Joel. But now that we're doing this, I have to think like, that probably got in there, I probably got in there and it, through this particular song, probably actually, gave me some pointers.
Yeah, I mean, there's great. Those feelings. What it's about, the feeling and the feeling that an experience creates in you. that doesn't go away. Those only get stronger over time. And then a new generation goes through. I mean, look, not everybody lives in an Allentown that loses the iron and coal and chromium steel, but that idea of the promise made to your generation that's broken, and what it feels like when there are a ton of towns who are dying or having to find a way to survive differently than they always did. Those things happen all the time. So it becomes an allegory. Allentown becomes an allegory, even though it's about a specific thing because of the reason that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to lean in even harder on this and say that that's what good art does as well. Like if it's something that isn't immediate to your experience, it gives you a window into the actual feelings of this experience. It could engender anything, but it engenders feelings in you. It engenders empathy in some ways, or it could engender anger, but it brings you into its world, or it at least gives you a window into its world, and it fosters, greater understanding, I think.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely. And put colloquially too. Like, it's one thing to say, right to work states have derailed unions in this country, and therefore the gap between the rich and the poor has grown, and factories have offshored seeking lower wages. But to just say you didn't get the shot that your old man got.
Yeah.
Says all of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful song. All right. Hal, what do you have next?
I actually had Allentown on my list, so I'm not going to replace it. So I only have two more. One of them is a song. For whatever reason, my freshman year of college, I went away and I felt very sad and missed my very close friends, who I still consider to be my brothers and sisters to this day. And I wrote an email to them that later got brought up in a roast that was done my wedding weekend in lieu of a bachelor party. But I wrote them, I said, I'm sitting here listening to Summer Highland Falls, and it makes me realize how much I miss all of you. The fact that it elicits emotion in me is enough for me to put it on this list. And I think it's a beautifully written song. I think the piano sounds great in it. I think it, again, has like some restraint to it, but also the just this idea of dealing with depression. I've seen that sad surrender in my lover's eyes. I can only stand apart and sympathize. I just think that's somebody who's dealing, it's either sadness or euphoria. They're dealing with bipolar, whatever it is, but it could be a number of things outside of the most obvious thing that it is. So that's why I have it in there.
I like
Beautiful.
it.
The beauty of an episode like this is I knew there were going to be songs that I didn't know. And when explained to me, I'm like, now I want to listen to that song. I don't know this song, but I'm excited to give it a listen. Summer Highland Falls.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you?
All right. Well, if we're
Piano
going
Man,
back
you
to
coward, say it. You say Piano Man
now.
I'm
going to save Piano Man for the end. No, if we're going with if we're going with things that remind us of our youth, there's a song for me that I was in a show choir when I was a kid. Many of our people of the world know this, called Kids Unlimited. And when I was in Kids Unlimited, some of the boys in Kids Unlimited decided, what would be awesome?
Oh,
we should learn and rehearse together for the longest time.
Sure.
We will memorize the song. We're going to get it so good. And then we're going to go to our director, Mr. Tim. And Mr. Tim, he will hear us sing this song, and he'll be like, it's undeniable we have to put this in the show.
What actually happened?
You can guess where this is going. I think I might have been the reason it was terrible. Because if there's one instrument that's playing in a completely different key and rhythm than anyone else, it's going to throw off a song that is designed to be tight harmony. Tight harmony, we were not. Tight harmony, though, was Billy Joel featuring his backup singers, Billy Joel, and Billy Joel. And then on finger snaps and whistles and random noises, you'd think Bobby McFerrin, but no, once again, it was Billy Joel.
I do want to point one thing out about this. He is not singing the bass line. He can't go that low. It's an actual bass.
Oh.
It is an actual, that's right.
Yeah.
When we did it, we had an actual bass voice do it because he thought he could get that low. But at that point in his life, he hadn't.
Laughing guy.
Yeah.
I can sing all four parts of that song.
Get out of here.
I remember doing it we had chorus or chamber singers, whatever it was. but I learned the baritone part, which is always like the weird part in there. The rest of it you can pick up. But I don't have, if you have a recording of you and your friends practicing, I would pay you $100 for that audio to have it.
I'll go halvesies on that with you.
Yeah.
Oh man, if I can find this, oh, it was rough. It was rough, guys. I'm not like this. This song triggered some emotions for me. I love this song though. It's off of his album that was designed to, what's the name of it? The one where it was
An Innocent Man.
Homages. An Innocent Man. It's an homage. It's Billy Joel when he was actually happy.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's his homage to Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. It's just a really fun, it's just a fun, poppy, old-timey doo-wop song. And it holds a special place in my heart. Do I think it should win? Maybe not, but it doesn't have any piano. So by my metric, no. But I really love singing that song.
I'll say this about that whole like segment of his career, when he was Uptown Girl and like referencing 60s stuff explicitly. I think he's actually way more convincing at that than like a lot of other people. There is that there's that weird thing that keeps, it kind of never goes away in rock music where like, Led Zeppelin only 4 or 5 years, out from like the era that they're talking about could sing like, it's been a long time since we rock and roll and do this like, it's like Chuck Berry kind of, riff. I mean, I guess maybe it was 10 years or something, but people of a certain age, and Billy Joel was born in like late, like 49, 50, something like that.
49, 48, somewhere in there.
So he was younger, a little bit younger than the first wave of like 60s rockers. But that's going to be the music of his youth. And for a long time, I guess maybe it's like before the internet or whatever. But, when I was a kid, I was born in 1970 and like listening to the radio in 1970, like the oldies stations still played like the Andrews Sisters and stuff,
Right.
So,
man,
like,
now it plays Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. So like, that the life of that kind of first, what must have been like incredibly exciting era of like the birth of rock and R&B and stuff, it really continues to live on. And in him going back to it, in like, remember when Phil Collins did like Can't Hurry Love,
Yeah.
I was down with that too. I believe him. I believe he it's like going back to that era, if you can pull it off, I think is, it always tells, nobody does it if they don't love it. I guess that's my point. Like it comes through in his delivery of it that he has a real love for that era of music.
Can I give you one I put in that category? Is David Lee Roth doing Just a Gigolo?
Oh yeah.
That is like a perfect song for him.
Yeah,
and he does it so well. I almost like it better than anything he did for Van Halen, which is like sacrilege. But it's so like
I'm with
perfect
you.
song for him.
It's the silly hubris of a silly hubris man.
Yeah. Ted, what's your next song?
So, there's another thing about Billy Joel that is he has a large bucket of songs. There's a lot of overlap, with a lot of the other, categories of songs of his. But I feel like, maybe it's a Long Island thing. Maybe it's a guy who had a bunch of starts and stops early on in his career and watched other people just kind of keep going. But it's got a lot of like resentment songs, whether it's like Big Shot or, even like Moving Out in some ways. But I picked Don't Ask Me Why for this.
Oh,
a great song.
Yeah.
I always liked the song, and it's another one of those kind of Poison Pen like resentment songs of his. That I also think when he gets into that mode, he's pretty adept at like dressing you down, via a song lyric, and really kind of like, I imagine if there was someone who knew that this was like specifically about them, they might feel like, ooh, a little close to the bone, Bill. You really, really, like all this stuff about
just an awkward Thanksgiving.
Yeah, all the waiters in your Grand Cafe, throw their roses at your feet, all this stuff. Like, he has a number of songs about like, oh, you're so fabulous, but I know the real, I know the real you, and really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love to harmonize it too.
Down a peg.
Yeah. He could make an album called All My Famous Friends Are Dicks and just never say who each of these songs are about.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, I know who that one's about. Sure. Take him down a peg. Oh, take her down a peg.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Great choice. I enjoy it. And musically, I think it's good too. Yeah, whatever. It's good.
Yeah. It's good clapping in there.
Yeah.
They got that like that. It's really good stuff.
Yeah. The fake
I'm a sucker for clapping in a song.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hal, do you have another one, or have all of yours been laid out on the table?
I do have one more. I almost threw in Lullaby because it makes me cry every time. Somebody singing to their child always has a shot at getting me, but I'm going to go with Moving Out. The reason why is I love singing it in the car. It's a fun, obviously it was enough to be the title of a jukebox musical. It's another one of his, here's a story about a bunch of people. Feels like a real like neighborhood. And I love that like Cadillac. I just love that.
It's such a great, such a great choice. A weird and great choice. Good thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. His little Max Headroom moment in the middle.
That is my remaining Billy Joel song. I also want to say I love My Life, but that's also because I loved the show Bosom Buddies when I was a kid.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Which came first, the song or the show?
The song, I think, came first.
Song was first? Okay.
And they did not have him do it. Or did they have him do it? Maybe they did use him. I can't remember if they used.
I thought they used the original recording.
Oh, you know what it is? It's when Adam Scott and Paul Rudd did the recreation of the opening. They did a shot-for-shot remake, and they went to Billy Joel. One of the bits was them going to Billy Joel and him saying he could do it, and then them deciding not to use it.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, I have one more because the other ones that I had were all already used, and why add my sixth or seventh choice when really all the ones that I really love are already out there on the table. But I do want to throw out there another overly theatrical song. I mentioned it once as a great episode of Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, but Goodnight Saigon is so over the top in what it really is. Like if I saw that show in a Broadway musical and a bunch of Marines are singing and we will all go down together, it would be the most indulgent Andrew Lloyd Webber cathartic crying that I would do.
Oh yeah.
I would know that I wasn't being fed vegetables. I was being fed sad ice cream, and I would eat the whole cone.
Right.
Also, I loved that was how they sent Will Ferrell off when he left Saturday Night Live. With just an entire a growing mass of people on the stage all singing Goodnight Saigon completely earnestly.
Funny. Wow.
And it was such a fun way for him to get a send-off for that show. So that song always has a special place for me. I will always think of Will Ferrell just absolutely deadpan standing there singing that song on his last night on SNL. And it's such a weird, silly, fun moment with the darkest, saddest of songs.
Yeah.
I think all the reviews of this song even were like, whoa, buddy, take it down a notch. This is crazy. This is crazy sad.
By the way, just before we get to the final two, one more Poison Pen song by Billy Joel that's worth bringing up is Great Wall of China, which is about his manager and ex-brother-in-law stealing all of his money.
Oh my God.
And includes the lyrics, "You could have had class. You could have been a contender. Charlie, you should have looked out for me."
Wow. Charlie calling out my name.
It's actually a good song too, but he is madder than he is. It was as if all of his money was stolen and that person left the lights on,
right?
Which is the ultimate thing Billy Joel cannot have.
He's not a mad guy in general. Like it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He kinda
and now that he's like older, he's starting to look like a Batman villain, and like he just seems even more. He's not going gently into his senior years. He's getting madder like George Carlin.
Yeah.
Well, he was a boxer, man.
Oh, right. Was he a boxer? I didn't even know that. Yeah.
He was a boxer. He had a 22-4 record. He was a good boxer.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah.
He's like if someone is the Penguin, he's like the Pug. That's his like Batman.
Yeah.
Right.
Woof, woof, Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All my songs sound like they could be classical.
Oh my gosh. Oh, we don't have anything off of his classical album, guys.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh.
Okay.
He's fine.
Ted,
He's
do you
very
have
good.
any more on your list?
What have I not done? Let's see. I had Big Shot on there,
Big
which
Shot.
I don't think
Okay.
we talked about.
Yeah.
Just briefly as a good cover.
Yeah, just like for the same reasons. It's kind of remarkable how angry, like you hear that on the radio every day. Like when it first came out, multiple times a day. It was like, Also, by the way, to hear the word "bitchin" in the song back then, it was like crying your coffee, but don't come bitching to me. It was like, I think the first couple of times my mom was like looking in the rearview mirror, like to see if it registered with me.
Did he hear it?
I tried to time it and turn the volume down at just the moment.
Right.
Oh my God. All right. Well, I think we have our list. Here is our list from which each of us will draw a finalist, and then we can focus on those 3 finalists and pick ultimately the best Billy Joel song. Obviously, Piano Man gets an automatic bye to the finals. And then we have Only the Good Die Young, Code of Silence, New York State of Mind, Vienna, She's Always a Woman to Me, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, Allentown, Summer Highland Falls, The Longest Time, Don't Ask Me Why, Moving Out, Goodnight Saigon, and Big Shot.
Mark, I heard what you tried to do there.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear with you.
What's that?
I'm going to give you a choice right now. I'm going to keep you honest. You can pick from this list, or you can have Piano Man. Right, Ted? Ted, am I right? Am I right, Ted?
Yeah, I'm with Alan.
He gets one.
Yeah,
you get one.
All right. I will, and then I will not take Piano Man.
Yeah, you tried it.
If only that its ubiquity has kind of ruined it. I do think it's a good song.
Also,
I don't think it's his. I think he has much better songs.
Yeah, it's best Billy Joel song, not most Billy Joel song.
It's the most Billy Joel
and
song.
And it is like we all sing along. We all know Davy's still in the Navy, and probably like it captures that what he was doing. I get it. We get it. It's his anthem. He'll never escape it.
Sure. Has the world figured out what a real estate novelist is?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it's
rich dad, poor dad, dead dad.
He spent so much time trying to figure it out that he never got married.
Oh, God.
That was Paul's thing. He was just like, I got to figure out what this is. I filled another notebook with ideas, but none of them work.
Listen, Paul, I was in the Navy.
Oh, no.
Still am. All right, Ted, who are you taking through to the finals here?
I get one.
You get one, yeah.
Out of all of these, from any of us, doesn't have to be one of yours. It could be any of them.
Right. I think you almost convinced me with Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, but I think I'm going to stick with Allentown. All
right.
I think that has to be at least in the top 3.
Yeah. Amen. Hal, what do you got?
Oh man. I'm going to take Oh man, there's so many. That was the one I probably would have taken. Instead, I will take I'll take one of mine. I'll take She's Always a Woman because it's a contrast.
Good. Yeah. And that would have been one that I would have taken because for me it was down to 2. It was that and the first one that I threw out there that I personally think is the most Billy Joel song and the best Billy Joel song, which is New York State of Mind.
Yeah. It's a great one.
Yeah.
3 killer songs. New York State of Mind, She's Always a Woman to Me, and Allentown. Thoughts? Throw them out there.
I don't
think it's mine.
I think in some ways the 2 that you guys chose are more quintessentially Billy Joel, capital B and a capital J. I think they are more quintessentially like what people think of when they think of Billy Joel. And I think that when they think of driving into Manhattan at 2 a.m. and there's steam coming out of the street thing that I can't think of the name for now because
it's just coming out of the street. That's it.
Manhole cover?
Just coming out of the street. Yeah, manhole cover. Thank you, manhole cover.
Manhole cover. You're welcome.
I think they're hearing New York State of Mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. For me, that was the one because he's so associated with that's the most evocative. I'm hard pressed. I mean, I know you guys both picked Allentown. Hal, you said your first choice was going to be Allentown.
Yeah, but I think
I probably should. And to be honest with you, like I probably should have picked Vienna, but in the last moment, I just thinking about Allentown like really got to me, and I threw that out there. But I bring that up because Vienna is it's one of those classic Billy Joel piano songs, and I do we're gonna have our opinions about what our favorite Billy Joel song is, but if we're trying to decide what's like an objectively best Billy Joel and possibly most Billy Joel at the same time, I might have to go with New York State of Mind.
Yeah,
I agree.
Bring us home, Hal.
Wow, people of the world. I've seen all the movie stars in their fancy cars and their limousines. Been high in the Rockies under the evergreens. I know what I'm needing and I don't want to waste more time. That's why New York State of Mind is the winner. It is the best Billy Joel song asked and answered. Ted Leo, thank you for being here for this episode. This was a delight. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Always a treat. Always a treat. Where do you want people to find you? Do you want them to find you on the road? You want them to find you online? How about both?
All of the above. Yeah. I'm eminently findable on at least like Blue Sky and Instagram these days. And, you can just search for my name. It's there. And, I do have a website that you just reminded me I need to update with tour dates. So I'll do that since this tour is starting tomorrow.
Yeah, it's cool. You'll be fine. You have plenty of time.
Yeah, but for the next bulk of the year, I'm touring as the guitar player in the classic band Gang of Four. And I'm also going to be joining the Michael Shannon REM cover band for a little bit of touring, playing bass with them later in the year.
Wow. Man, you have
that
a cool
is very,
life.
very cool. I know, right? I didn't know I didn't know about this band.
Oh yeah, they've been doing this. It kind of like it started out as just a very like frivolous like fun thing I think for Michael Shannon, and then it kind of became a thing where like the members of REM will show up and like sit in with them, and
wow.
And I'm going to join them on bass for a little bit of time. So
well, they're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
I'm trying to get in the habit of saying things to people. Like you say nice things when you're with people. You are one of the people in my life that I can't believe we are friends, and I'm very grateful for it. Not only because you're Ted Leo, but because you're you, and you're a great guy, and you're very kind to spend some time, especially before you're getting ready to go on tour, chatting Billy Joel with us.
The feeling is entirely mutual. I love you guys. Thank you.
Oh, we love you back.
Love you too.
Thank you. This topic is closed, but there are many more topics to discuss. So please reach out to us via email at wegotThisPodcast@gmail.com or
find us on the social media at We Got This Podcast, except for Instagram. We are at We Got This Show there. The Facebook group you already know about, but the Discord is where all the fun is happening. bit.ly/WGT Discord. Thank you to producer Ken Plume, who was constantly texting saying, don't forget Great Wall of China. That's a great bitter Billy Joel song. Thank you also to researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kelman, and QA engineer Jen Alba.
And thanks, of course, to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, the people of the world. You are both the sinners we want to laugh with and the saints we want to cry with. And we can't thank you enough.
Not too proud, but still,
yeah,
we love just saying.
We couldn't do it without you. We wouldn't do it without you. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to do this every week. That's it. I can't say anything but thank you, thank you, thank you. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin. And don't worry, everybody. We got this.
We got this.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows
supported
directly
by you.